Hello BookTube, Books with Banks back again with another video today. Today we're not doing one, again, specifically on books, but I'm going to use the recent Video Game Awards that just happened a little more than a week ago to kind of start and move a little forward into this conversation that I'm really looking forward to having more on my channel about using narrative theory and analytical, like literary analysis kind of skills and applying those to video game narratives. And I think what we just saw happen at the Video Game Awards recently offers a pretty interesting kind of jumping off point. First and foremost, Elden Ring is easily my favorite game of the year. Granted, I haven't played all the games of the year. One important exception, we'll get to that. But I'll run down, for those of you who might not be as much into video games or didn't watch the awards, these are the 8 awards that Elden Ring was nominated for. Best Role-Playing Game, Best Audio Design, Best Score and Music, Best Art Direction, Best Narrative, Best Game Direction, Player's Choice, and Game of the Year. And Elden Ring won 4 of those 8 nominations. So let's go through the wins, and maybe I'll try to explain a little bit why this game did or didn't deserve to win and lose. First, Elden Ring did take home the prize for Best Role-Playing Game. This, frankly, is a no-brainer, from the character creation at the beginning of the game and the class selection to all of the uninhibited reign of choice left open to players. Easily, this is one of the most immersive role-playing experiences any of us have played in a really long time. There's also a crafting system that you can engage with, but you don't really need to. The NPC interactions, the decisions that you have to make, there's these massive optional areas, including some of the best of the entire game, that you don't have to stumble upon or even know they exist to beat the game. All of those features and more, I think, made this a shoo-in for the Best Role-Playing Game win. Next, we have Best Audio Design, and Elden Ring lost that to God of War Ragnarok, as was often the case in categories that Elden Ring lost. The award instead went to God of War Ragnarok. Now, I have yet to play the most recent God of War, although from what I know of the audio design of the previous games, this makes total sense. The ones I've played so far sound amazing. I wasn't too particularly upset about Elden Ring losing this or the next one, speaking of which, that is Best Score and Music, and that again went to God of War Ragnarok. I have listened to both soundtracks, and as dramatic and as epic as the Elden Ring soundtrack is, I think the God of War is just more classic. I think I did definitely prefer it a little bit. It strikes a little more nostalgia, more of that nostalgia chord in a lot of us gamers more than the Elden Ring, albeit epic, but pretty generic fantasy score does. Next, we have Best Art Direction, and again, this was an easy one to know for sure that Elden Ring was going to win. Just from the variety of environments, the environmental storytelling, and the brilliant boss designs, I would have been absolutely shocked if Elden Ring lost out on Best Art Direction. Just like real quick, just images of like a giant skeleton on a giant throne, maybe white-robed enemies riding around on massive hairy ants, also like a hilarious sentient ball, almost out of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, following you around on massive staircases, up and down through an underground city, and all of those unique artistic design decisions, those are all in one totally optional area, not to mention the thousands of unique and varied experiences you get going, and art design kind of aesthetics you get going to all of the different unique places around the gaming world. Next, Elden Ring did, however, lose Best Game Narrative to God of War Ragnarok, and this is an interesting one, as I can't comment on the narrative of the game that won, as I haven't played it. However, I do think there's a longer conversation to be had about the narrative style of these From Software, Elden Ring, Dark Souls-like games. I'll elaborate on this point a little further below. Again, I'm sure God of War Ragnarok deserved attention and a win, but I'm also sure that Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok have very different narrative styles. Next, Elden Ring did win the prize for Best Game Direction, or I should say more specifically, the director Hidetaka Miyazaki won. And again, I am so happy that he did. He has been the power and visionary behind some of my favorite games of the past decade, and he totally deserves all the flowers he can get. Well done, Miyazaki. Well done. The Player's Choice Award was kind of interesting, as it went to neither Elden Ring nor God of War Ragnarok, but instead to Genshin Impact. I personally haven't played that game, not sure if I'm ever going to play that game, but I'd love to hear below in the comments why people think that might have deserved Best Player's Choice Award more than Elden Ring or God of War. And then last but not least, the last category Elden Ring was nominated in. Despite God of War Ragnarok taking home 7 of its 10 nominations, Elden Ring came in at the end, winning its 4th of 8 nominations with the main title, the one you really want to get, Game of the Year. I think first and foremost, it had a bit of a leg up on God of War, as the title of Game of the Year has this kind of implication of what was this year in gaming all about, sort of, and Elden Ring came out way back at the beginning of the year, giving it and players so much more time to, make its identity one with 2022, giving players more time to enjoy it. Now, typically with these award shows for like movies and TV shows and stuff, a lot of people try to release their films closer to the awards so it's fresher in viewers' and voters' memories. However, we might be seeing here an important difference between Game Awards and something like the Oscars. People actually do need a lot more time to play these games, much more time than it might take to watch a cumulative 20 hours or so it takes to watch all of the Oscar-nominated films. So Elden Ring, I think, did it right. I'm not sure if that was part of their early strategy, but unintentional or not, I think that really paid off for them. That the game came out back end of February, early March, somewhere in there. So many people poured so much of their free time into this masterpiece for the past 9 months, and as good of God of War Ragnarok no doubt is, and as much as I still can't wait to play it once I get it, hopefully maybe for Christmas, we'll see, then Elden Ring really just, it gave us, and seemingly the voters, the proper time to truly fall in love with it. So, all that said, let's circle back for a moment to the Best Game Narrative Award. Now, I don't want to be like, well, actually, you're too nerdy about this, but a dictionary definition of narrative is as follows: a quote, a spoken or written account of connected events, a story. That's all. Now, I want to, in a later video, talk all about narratology and narrative theory in gaming, but I should say now that if the Game Awards are intentional in naming their categories, calling this award the Best Game Narrative could face a number of different interpretations on purely that semantic level, because it's not Best Game Script / Writing, it's not the Best Game Story, Best Game Narrative. Narrative. And I feel like the use of this term immediately provokes a little bit more of a scholarly critique of how Elden Ring's narrative was considered up against the rest of its competitors. So while I'm sure the story of God of War Ragnarok is quite good and likely worthy of the win, I'm also fairly certain that the God of War storytelling is much more straightforward and similar to film or novel storytelling than, say, the storytelling methods the narrative methods used in a game like Elden Ring. But all that to basically just say, congrats Elden Ring. Sorry that weird kid crushed your speech at the end with this weird Bill Clinton thing. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's bizarre. But really well-deserved win. I look forward to getting further into making videos about various scholarly articles on narratology and video games, the Ludic narrative. I'm going to cite a few down below in the description for anyone who might be interested in researching this and then drawing your own conclusions on this issue, maybe before I post another video all about this interesting conversation. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.